Hello, Gonky. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's been a whole year, man.
Have not talked to you since last year. Bazinga. Waka, waka, waka.
You're so funny.
Yeah, I'm here all week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how are you? Welcome back.
Good. Yeah, no, it's good. I got permission from high command to be here, so
yeah, shouldn't care about the new year. It's only Christmas. It's
only care about Jesus in this house. So
Jesus' birthday, sir.
Yes.
Welcome. No, it's good. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be alive.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling? You sound a little.
If I have to mute or go off camera, you'll know why. I got something flu. I did a COVID test, but it was expired by 2 years, so I'm not 100% sure that the negative actually meant negative. But
so it works just like it did when it was new. Continue.
Pretty much, yeah. It's all fake news. I got something like Tuesday, kind of when we were doing the show. I was like, okay, something's coming. You know, you get that scratchy throat. You're like, okay, something's about to happen, and then I went out with Luna in the sheriff's office Wednesday night, and then Thursday it was the beginning of the end. And I turned the corner today. So new year, new me. Yesterday was pretty awful. I missed out on an opportunity to go hang out with some people for some New Year stuff. So I had to stay home with Luna Bell, which we had all the fireworks last night. It sounds like Fallujah. I live in the suburbs, and all the people wanted to wish us a merry 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Listen, I'm not anti-freedom. I'm just anti things encroaching on my restfulness. That's it. Like, you can firework yourself to death. I don't care. America, go. Just, I don't want to hear it. And it bothers me when it bothers Luna. That's all. I mean, she's a sensitive girl.
Yeah, man. My dog peed on the floor. He's like, I'm not going outside.
Yeah. So I'm not here to outlaw it. You know, I don't want to, like constitutionalist. I don't think that the right should be infringed. I just think you're an asshole. That's you're doing that.
You're entitled. You're entitled to that, dude.
I think that I will think poorly, but I'm not going to say we should outlaw it. I'm just going to say, go do this out in the woods where you're not in the middle of the suburbs and aggravating everybody.
There's kids and dogs sleeping.
I am in the absolute minority because I'm pretty sure every house within a 200 square mile radius had some level of detonation going on above their house.
You strike me as the guy that has no Christmas lights and has his porch light off during Halloween too.
You're damn right. You're damn right. We used to, dude. So we used to have these signs.
Tons of fun over at Old Man Movers.
We used to have these signs. They still do, but we used to be the ones that would go out on Halloween Day in the reserve division and hand out and put signs in the yards of sex offenders. And it did not identify them as a sex offender. It just said, "Do not trick or treat here." And I have always been tempted to steal one of those signs because it just says, "By order of the sheriff's office, do not trick or treat here." And there's nothing else. Like, it's not like, "Hey, it's a pedophile. Hey, he's going to touch kids or whatever." It just says, "Don't trick or treat here." And I'm like, that is perfect utilitarianism.
Except for the people who know will be like, "Whoa, what happened?"
Well, I don't care about those people. I just, but whatever, you leave your lights off and nobody bothers you. But that's a different story. We've already done the Halloween thing. This is my New Year's. So you got New Year's, and then you've got what's after that? 4th of July. They're going to do that at midnight for some reason. We're good. We're good.
Freedom.
But hey, man, welcome back. Bringing in the new year with, dude.
Yeah, we could. Dude, we're minus Doug and we're minus Wombat today.
So Doug is off doing some stuff with extended family. Wombat's out working for the man. It's just us slackers over here. We're going to hold down the fort. Can't wait till it's your turn to try to present something. And thanks to everybody watching us. I've got it on there. Instead of the Michigan-Alabama game, which Alabama just kicked a field goal. The score is now 20-13. I will keep you updated as much as I can in the waning moments of the score.
Dude, our listeners can multitask.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about stuff that we got. We already have people. Crazy Pete says,
"Hey,
30.
Hey, what kind of car is that?"
Mustang.
Okay.
Half a Mustang.
Yeah.
Half a Mustang.
Thanks, man.
John says, "Happy New Year. Praying your 2024 is amazing." Dude, you didn't do a year in review, man. I'm disappointed. I was sick and I still managed to do one.
Yeah, well, dude, I have kids and stuff. I ran out of time, man. I ran out of time. Sorry.
I was always told that kids you could make them do chores. And when I was a kid, like, I had to cut the grass and wash the car. I feel like they should.
When you were 11 months old and 5?
Yeah, dude. That's free labor. You should be. I got run over by a lawnmower when I was 5. So, I mean, why can't? Like,
yeah, my son does have chores, but it's holidays with kids and family and stuff.
Aren't they the iPad generation? Can they not? Like, you could probably have Rip edit your videos, and that'll save you some time by itself.
That kid rides motorcycles, his bicycle, and he plays outside.
Are you stunting his growth by not allowing him to be a technological wizard?
I think I'm saving his soul.
He's going to be just like you, Gonky. He's going to be just like you, completely helpless. Scano 6839, thank you, says, "You are asked to help the Navy Air Force overhaul, I guess, undergraduate pilot training. What do you fight for more of? What do you ask to get rid of?"
Flight time. More flight time.
Flying. Yeah. What do you get rid of, Gonky? A T-38.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. Probably red tape.
Yeah, I would say more flying, more solos. I would have more, like, especially in the Air Force syllabus, there weren't a whole lot of formation solos and stuff like that. At least when I went through, there are some, but I think you could do more with soloing, because to me, that's where I learned the most, was when you're by yourself and you're responsible for your own safety. When you feel like you've got that voice on your shoulder, you're like, oh, there's my safety net. But as soon as that safety net's gone, you're paying attention.
Yeah. Yep. More flight time, maybe less sim time. There you go.
But on the flip side, you do get away with more when you're solo.
But that's called learning. We call that learning.
Yeah. And then Greg says,
Greg, thanks, man.
All right, let's go on to our topics. We have no Douglas, so bear with us. This may not work as well. Gonky, breaking news.
Oh my gosh.
So from the OSINT Defender, has not been verified. Don't know how deep this intel is, but Palestinian protesters are trying to disrupt air travel at JFK. Watch the video. So this is a balloon. It actually looks like a space capsule falling from the air.
How do they know it's protesters? I mean, I'm just asking the question.
It says pro-Palestinian and Hamas supporters at JFK airport in New York City reportedly launched a balloon earlier tonight near a runway in an attempt to halt the arrival and departure of flights.
And
then all these people are mad. Like, so let me ask you this, dude. Wait, so here's my question now. This is within the wheelhouse of the F-22. Do you launch alert F-22 to go get it?
Say. Dude, let's launch a $500 million airstrike on this balloon. Hose off for a couple of heaters.
Because you know exactly. The Viper's got a horrible track record against balloons. We've already proven that. We launched like 6 AIM-9Xs at the one balloon, but the Raptor is doing a great job at it. So where would be the nearest Raptor? Langley?
Yeah.
It's kind of a haul, but yeah, you'd have to launch the alert balloon task force 6.
I think just like, I don't know, launch a C5, ram it. I mean, what's a balloon going to do to a C5? Nothing.
Well, they used to have the thing where the nose, the C-130 in the nose, and they would use it to pick the dudes up in
you mean the hook?
Vietnam? Yeah, like Batman.
Yeah. They wouldn't use C-130s?
Yeah. C-somethings.
Yeah. That's how they got Carlos.
Fun fact, our new boss, his dad did that. I'm trying to get him on the channel to interview him.
Wait, he was the one that they yanked out of the...
No, he was the one flying that developed, like that was part of that special ops thing in Vietnam.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly today. They'd be like, oh, it's way too ORM through the roof. We're at a 69 today. We can't.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hey, they're launching balloons. Great, man. I mean, give it about 10 minutes and hopefully the prevailing wind will push it out to sea. And
yeah. Traffic 2:00. Just a point out, I guess. I mean, how do you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it's dangerous, right? I mean, if you and I went out there and did that, we'd be arrested.
Yeah. There's the big thing lately has been lasers. The lasers, people on the ground pointing lasers at aircraft in the air. That's been the biggest threat, especially at night, because you look down, you see it. Well, anytime, but that's especially when you can see it. And the FAA is really trying to crack down on that because that can affect your vision and cause permanent damage.
Have you ever been lased?
Not to my knowledge. Have you?
Yeah, I got lased in Malaysia. We were doing night casts with the Marines. I forget who I was flying with, but I was coming back to Butterworth. And dude, I saw something in the canopy and I looked out and I literally saw the laser light. And
no kidding.
I buzzed the dude.
Because
you could do things like that there. And yeah, and I told the tower, I was like, some dude is over here with a laser. I don't know.
I can say that in my other volunteer capacity, we've been called out by the FAA to go try to find somebody.
Oh, really?
Very hard to do. Yes.
Yeah.
That they were lasing inbound traffic.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, dude, you need a helicopter. You need a helicopter that can talk you on, because without that,
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to more breaking news. The deeper the intel, the more the news breaks.
Jeez, dude. Here we go.
I can't stop now.
I'm starting to get some comments on my channel. They were like, "What do you guys have against deep intel?" I'm like, nothing. It's just a joke.
It is. It's just funny. That's all.
It is funny.
Was there shallow intel? what are the various levels of depth of intel? Yeah. Usually if it's deeper than probably normal intel, then you're probably going to jail.
That's right.
So it's really probably not deep intel, because that's where the jail, unless you store it in
I remember getting out of the actual deep intel briefs, and I would think,
I know less now than when I went in here.
Right. Exactly, dude.
Like, what? I've gotten
I've
stupider.
regressed.
What the hell? All right. So this is from a tweet. So it's official intel. U.S. Central Command, Iranian. So it's not really that breaking, because this happened December 31st. So yesterday. So we're off. We're not even we're just normal intel now. On December 31st at 6:30 a.m. Sanaa time. Container ship Maersk Hangzhou issued a second distress call in less than 24 hours, reporting being under attack by 4 Iranian-backed Houthi small boats. The small boats, originating from Houthi-controlled areas in Yemen, fired crew-served and small arms weapons at the Maersk Hangzhou, getting to within 20 meters of the vessel, and attempted to board the vessel. A contract embarked security team on that ship returned fire. U.S. helicopters from the USS Eisenhower and Gravely responded to the distress call, and in the process of issuing verbal calls to the small boats then fired upon the U.S. helicopters with crew-served weapons and small arms. The U.S. Navy helicopters returned fire in self-defense, sinking 3 of the 4 small boats and killing the crews. The fourth boat fled the area. There was no damage to U.S. personnel or equipment. I believe they call that F around and find out.
Poke the bear, see what happens.
They found out what happens when you do these things.
Yeah. That's a really unique scenario for those Navy helos, because how often do they get to actually engage the enemy,
Well, and so it's an escalation in the area. A lot of the Twitter intel sources now think that this is going to escalate to an actual regional conflict where they go after the Houthi forces in Yemen. But you have to keep the shipping lanes open. I mean, this is commerce. One thing that was funny, which I've seen now on the Twitter /X sphere, is that now you have the victimhood. They're like, well, they killed all those, the Houthis. And it's like, okay, because their argument is they killed them, that the Houthis were non-lethal, that they were just trying to shoo the ships away, just to get them out of the area. It's like, well, you shot with real bullets and crew-served weapons, and then you turned around and you shot at American forces. What did you think was going to happen?
Right. Exactly, man. I mean, you shot at U.S. military assets. Probably, they're going to shoot back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know all the you and I don't know all the details of both sides' arguments, but like you said, man, you got to keep the shipping lanes open, and if you're gonna shoot at somebody, prepare to get shot at back.
Yeah.
Self-defense, right? I mean,
that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's international waters. I mean, you've got a lot of experience with international waters.
Yeah.
What's the ROE?
Yeah, it's like you can absolutely defend yourself.
Well, and this comes on the heels of an unprecedented amount of shoot downs of drones, anti-ship ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, all kinds of attacks actual direct attacks on U.S. ships. Not just this, but
well, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, it is escalatory. That's not really what we want to see, but for whatever reason, they just keep. I mean, if they don't stop, at some point, probably something needs to happen. I mean, I don't know how long can they just sit there and just throw drones at aircraft carriers and whatever vessels out there that they're like, we'll just see what happens. To me, based on the intel we have, it definitely seems like they're the instigators, but.
Well, and that's we've got a troll here in the comments that's saying that the shipping lanes are open, just not for the ones that service Israel. So you see the thing, and you can't make that distinction,
right?
And if I mean, that's the thing. Once you start shooting, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. You
an international shipping lane is an international shipping lane,
right? Not just everybody except this one country. So it's a little.
Send a Houthi boat through there. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, man. Like I grew up in the Middle East, and it's just like even as a kid, the Iran-Iraq war was going on, then the Gulf War, and it's like unfortunately
constant.
Yeah, which is very sad. I mean, it's a lot of innocent people tied up there.
So same one basically says this, and I wanted to address that because we didn't lose to the Taliban.
We didn't even try
strategically. So here's the problem. Militarily, we win. Politically, we lose. That's what when you withdraw the way we withdrew, absolutely, wasn't necessarily the best way to do things. But from the military perspective, dude, there's no comparison.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Our military has the abilities to crush people. Period.
Yeah, and even when I was over there partaking in that, man, I mean, the ROE was.
Yeah. You take the gloves off. It's not, when you say lose, it's not lose because of an inability to fight and win. It's a lose because of a lack of willpower.
Yeah.
And political ROE. When I was there, they were, we can't go kinetic right now because we don't, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what are we even doing?
Right.
There's a difference, and the same thing happened in Vietnam. When you take the gloves off and actually fight like a military, you win.
I will give this guy credit, though. I mean, he is. In my opinion, I don't really think we have fought to win in a long time. Because, like you said, Mover, if we decide to win, we're gonna win.
Well, to his point, though, if they decide to go after the Houthis, and I'm not saying they're gonna, but if they decide to go after the Houthis, the first about 2 weeks are going to be shock and awe again.
Oh, yeah.
We'll lose after 20 years. But we're going to win the first 2 weeks.
And how many billions of dollars?
Yeah. We may not. We're going to win at least at first. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. It's 2020 tied with 1:34 left for Alabama and Michigan, in case anybody was wondering. Irish says, very entertaining dogfight. Your plane looks like a woke General Lee had me in the floor laugh. Gonky, for legal reasons, that's a joke, right?
I didn't set the color scheme to my Mustang. I just got in it. I mean,
no, you were talking about mine. Mine was blue. I mean, you said that to me.
I thought, really?
Yeah, you looked at mine and you said, you look like a woke General Lee.
Did you set the color scheme on your?
I did. I had one as red and one as blue. When I found out those were options, I'm like, oh, that'll work.
Oh, that's right, because you had the 01 on the side, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember now. Okay.
John says Mover's house at Saturday morning special movie where the neighbor's 8-year-old kid gives him a heart attack. Yeah. Get off my lawn.
That's funny.
My parents had me doing chores at 6 months while walking school to
there it is. Of course.
As it should be. Why is Rip not doing these things? It's child labor, slightly illegal. Everybody's so sensitive these days. You can't get away with anything. Chili, Bluey's mom. Raptor guys getting all hot and sweaty over the balloon.
Send me.
It's the full. Oh, here's the full Mustang.
Yeah.
Is that a Mustang? Or is it a Shelby?
Yeah. They're kind of the same, aren't they? Didn't we establish that fact with Wombat? They're kind of the same.
Yeah. Fulton recovery system is the thing.
I like it though.
Yeah. And then Wicked Spider says late to the party again. All right. Moving on to our topics. Be a little slower today because I have to.
We don't have Doug, dude.
We don't have Doug that has all this teed up.
He's the magic. He's probably watching right now, laughing.
He's with us. So Raytheon. So in the vein of shooting down all these drones. Raytheon is prototyping directed energy zappers for the U.S. Air Force and the Navy. And where that's interesting is this has been a thing that they even mentioned as something that can be used for shooting down drones, shooting down cruise missiles, stuff like that, because you get overwhelmed fairly quickly using projectiles, and the ability to rearm can be a thing. So what they're talking about is they've got this awesome acronym called DEFEND, Directed Energy Frontline Electromagnetic Neutralization and Defeat Program. Say that 3 times fast, Gonky.
No.
It uses high power microwave antenna system, as the company described in their announcement, and it's already underway in Tucson. It's a key part to national defense. The iterations of their high power microwave systems are cost effective, reliable solutions that operate at the speed of light, enabling our warfighters to defend against faster, more maneuverable threats. So theoretically, you're not, the intercept timeline is instantaneous. It's just pew, pew, pew. I mean, we're talking Star Wars.
That's now a lot of comm to throw in there instantaneously.
Yeah. The goal, it's $1 billion annually to develop directed energy weapons. At this point, are we just making up numbers? We're like, that's $1 billion, whatever.
Everything's $1 billion.
It's like, whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter? Nobody's keeping score because it's just funny money now. Directed energy weapons with the goal of deploying them aboard aircraft, warships, and ground vehicles to bat down drones and missiles. High-power microwave equipment specifically works by unleashing waves of energy that overwhelm the internal circuitry of weapons, rendering them useless. Its prototypes will be rugged and transportable from the front line use against airborne threats. There's another cool acronym called Chimera, Counter Electronic High-Power Microwave Extended Range Air-Based Defense. Wait, there's a D there. Like that's not an acronym. That's just the name. Anyway, so that's that. And to me, this is the future of warfare at this point.
What, instantaneous?
Well, no, the fact that you're going to have to defend against drones and drone swarms and stuff like that, because Ukraine and even the current conflict with Israel has taught us that these FPV, the first person drones, are highly effective. And, the 18-year-old in the foxhole can do this and launch the drone. And then, people were asking me, or trash talking the fact that I called it a suicide drone, but that's what it is. When it's a drone that goes one direction with no intent to coming back, it's a suicide drone. The drone itself is committing suicide, essentially, even though it's not a living being,
right?
Or attack drone. So you're able to do this. And you see, I mean, I don't think you can turn on the internet today without seeing some drone footage. Like, you see the footage of it, of the last moments of the armored person or the personnel carrier right before it hits the 10 dudes in the back of the truck or whatever it is, and that's very hard to defend against. So having directed energy weapons, because there are some techniques and stuff out there, but I think that there's probably one of the major components of this is being able to instantaneously target. So find, fix, target, track, to turn and actually do that when it's a moving small object, that's part of it. And it's something that, if they can make it portable, you can save a lot of troops on the ground. And in this case, we're dealing with that in the current environment with the Houthis. What do you think?
No, I agree with all that, dude. I think it's going to get real scary when they start incorporating like AI with drones who are on a one-way mission. I mean, it can, just think up your wildest sci-fi scenario, and it's like, it's starting to come true, right? So how do you combat it? I mean, we're shooting them with regular projectiles now, but I mean, I'm all for this new kind of technology, man. But to me, it just sounds like it's a bunch of ideas on paper.
No, the article talks about, they're already developing it in Tucson. I think a lot of it's probably highly classified. You're not going to see anything until it's later on. In fact,
right.
It's possible, it's possible you're getting a lot of live testing right now, as they go. There's
maybe
nothing that says that, where's the world's best operational test and evaluation out there. You know, we were talking about that with the F-35. That's a pretty good place to be testing capabilities. And we've seen some really cool things out of the F-35. Shooting down cruise missiles.
There's no shortage of conflicts right now to test things.
Two fronts. Yep.
Hmm.
So cool. Let's see. Anything else I'm missing here? D-Stu says, you guys bring such a great show to this world. Thank you. Happy and healthy 2024. I'm working on the healthy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Jordan says, we won't actually know anything until it's already been used. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And even then, you might not.
Yeah.
You might not, you know, I mean, we won't know until they're ready for us to know. It's like the B-21. You know, people are always asking us about the B-21. It's like,
yeah, your Google search is as good as mine.
Yeah, it's like if I did know, I wouldn't want to go to jail. So I'm not going to tell you.
No.
And odds are I don't know.
Well, dude, it's like when I was a kid, right? When they unveiled the F-117, they'd been flying it for years.
Yeah. By the time you know, it's too
Right.
late.
Yeah.
It's too late. And then Joe says, Happy New Year, guys. Late start watching from the beginning.
Thanks, Joe. I love that patch. That patch is awesome.
Dude, I had did I send it to you? I had the Happy New Year from okay.
Yes, that's awesome, man. I can't believe I've never seen that like on TV.
Hold on, Gonky. We should have opened with this.
We should have, dude. It's a
wrong
classic.
with me?
I don't know. For somebody who loves Airwolf as much as you do, man.
Dude, I've got about 20 different things going on in this here noggin. And if you recall, I'm sick.
Yeah, here it is. Sound. No sound, mover.
That's me on the right and you on the left in 10 years.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, you don't hear it?
No, it's fine. I guess as long as everybody else hears it.
Well, wait a minute. Did I not share? I don't know. It says muted. They said it says share tab audio. I heard it. It's really all that matters.
As long as you, I mean, that's all that matters in movers, single seat.
Fighter pilot I heard it. I don't know about you guys. I don't care what.
So sorry. Yep. See, nobody else heard it. Jeez.
Son of a
par for the course.
Now
see, we
can't.
need Doug. If Doug was here, dude, like it would like on cue.
All right, one more time.
Be playing.
All right, I'll make sure it's unmuted. Here we go.
Holiday greetings from all of us here at Airwolf. To all of you out there, Happy New Year! Holiday greetings from all of us here at Airwolf.
I'm just going to watch
to
it
all of you out there
now from here on
Happy New Year! Holiday greetings from all of us here at Airwolf.
Okay, is that enough?
Gosh, the 80s were so cool. I miss it.
Yeah. What's our next article, Gonky?
I don't know. Are you up or am I up?
The mayor's lost control. The mayor's lost control. Here we go. So the next thing is DARPA wants a faster Osprey.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? So yeah. Beyond the Osprey, DARPA wants a high-speed vertical takeoff X-plane. And that's a picture of a blended wing design with embedded engines and lift fans. Of course, there's an acronym. It's called the Speed and Runway Independent Technologies, SPRINT. They awarded a contract to Aurora and contracts to Bell Textron, Northrop Grumman, and a bunch of other people to start honing their ideas. Value for these 4 deals, which cover the initial phase, could be worth 15 to 20. Dude, if you're just getting 15 to 20 million to have ideas, I feel like you and I need to get in on this.
We could totally, yeah. We could
We're
totally.
idea men. Yeah.
Even if they just kicked us like 10 grand, I'd throw in some ideas.
Yeah. I mean,
why not? I'd be like, this is a terrible idea. Here's my bank account. Here's my routing number and bank account.
Yeah. If a good idea is 20 million, then a bad idea is like $1 million. Right. I mean, we can discount this and they can just give us a little bit off the top. Mover's racing career could be funded by all of his bad ideas.
Dude, it's from the same account for the billions of dollars for the microwave gun in the previous article. So it doesn't matter.
So by 2027, they want one of the companies to have finished designing and prototyping their aircraft. So out of the 4, only one. Dude, a 5th company could be us.
We could be one of the failures, but still take some of the money.
Exactly.
Bingo. Retirement.
I'll take 15 million to fail.
To fail? Me too.
Yeah. I'm perfectly okay with this.
Yeah.
But I digress. Good. We're actually going to talk about. So they want this thing to fly forward at 450 knots. So what's that? What would you say? That's like a, it's not really a fighter. It's like an A6 speed.
Like a citation.
Yeah.
Like an A10, right?
Like, well, no, A10's not doing that fast. But it's faster than the Osprey, which can do 270 knots, which is crazy. That's fast for an Osprey. What we, ellipses, want to be able to achieve is higher end speeds. We're going another 100 knots, which itself challenges physics. If you were just to use a propulsion system that's in the Osprey, he said it must be able to hover, be stable, transition between hovering and forward flight, have a distributed power system during the jet transition that effectively powers all the propulsion systems. Dude, he's describing Airwolf.
Yeah. 100%.
We just saw 2 guys that could do this.
Airwolf could do more than 450 knots.
Yeah. I mean, Higgins says it's all over the place. I too could be all over the place for 15 to 20 million. In fact, right now I'm all over the place. So anyway, he wants it to be, they're doing a risk reduction testing, and they're saying, hey, what about this blended wing X-48? That's not too far off from what they're talking about. It really does open up possibility of being used in all those mission sets. So I guess in the future war, they're saying they might need aircraft able to take off and land from streets, open fields, cratered flight lines, or other locations without traditional runways, and then get away quickly. So it's basically for spec ops, special operations, mobility, logistics, operation, personnel recovery, medical transport, evacuation missions. So it's not, we're not talking fighters, because we already did that with Fat Amy. We're talking something to replace the Osprey, but
right.
You know, be able to haul people, cargo, you know, maybe have some level of self-protection. But yeah. I don't know. What do you think,
man? I think it's, you know, the next gen Osprey is what they're talking about, right? Hopefully fixing the problems with the first design, and then adding capability to it. I think the whole idea of the vertical takeoff and then going like an airplane, I mean, that's one of these days it'll figure out and it'll be awesome. But like right now, there's definitely a compromise, right? Because in airplane mode, they're slow, and in helicopter mode, they really can't lift much, right? So it's kind of a compromised design, at least with the Osprey. I was talking to a Chinook pilot the other day, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, how did the Chinook compare to the V-22?" And he said, "Well, the Osprey can't carry nearly as much as the Chinook, you know. So if the mission is low threat, but you know you're trying to get like a tank in there or something, the Osprey's not going to do it. If you want lots of troops, right, and it's low threat, you're going to be using a lot of V-22s, vice a couple Chinooks. I mean, this second gen Osprey, if you will, is just kind of still on paper. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, when an actual flying machine comes out. But I think one of these days, maybe in our lifetime, man, we'll see it. They'll have the, you know, the vertical takeoff, high speed. Technology will allow it to happen with the lift capability. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a precursor to something else. You know, like, hey, we want this spec ops thing that's stealthy, that can go in contested environments, get in, get out, drop, you know, 6 dudes or dudettes, whatever, off, and then get out unseen in the IADS, the integrated air defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start talking the blended wing and stuff like that. Now you're talking some kind of stealth capability. Now you're talking, you know, some where speed matters, right? Because when you're talking cargo and all that stuff, you know, you want to be the workhorse, like you were just talking about. You know, you want more capability, but you know, something lighter, faster that can get in and out, maybe It's the X-wing, or not the X-wing. What's the Batwing? It's the Batwing. You want the Batwing. That thing can hover. Literally, there's one of our ideas, Gonky. We just copy and paste the Batwing from any of the Batman series, and we've already fixed this for them.
Yeah, I mean, I read this article, but I don't remember. Is it truly only capable of carrying 6 people?
No, I just made that up.
Okay, all right.
Nothing exists yet. We're on the Mover and Gonky Defense Contractors Limited drawing board. So it's as many people as we say. We can say it holds 20 people, whatever, how many you want, Gonky. But for our design proposal, I think we do like a SEAL team. We go stealthy.
I think, dude, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about the whole, spec ops stuff, but I just have to imagine there are sneakier ways to get people in. I mean, have you seen True Lies, right? I mean, don't they get in a suit and tie and pretend they're one of the bad guys?
But they do hover at the end, and then he launches the guy off on the AIM-9. So once again, hovering is important.
Hovering is important. That's true. But but you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I think building stealth into any future weapon, a tank, an airplane, a helicopter is smart. But
just trying to get us paid, Gonky. The more stealth we put on something, the more likely it is to get billions of dollars.
That's true. You just be like, this is going to be stealthy, dude. So we need $1 billion for it.
Regardless of whether we can actually deliver, we'll figure it out in the end run. Just trust us. Yeah. We've got a stealthy helicopter
design. It's in here.
Hella Batwing. It's a hella Batwing. Oh, dude. Our intel is super shallow tonight. Anyway, let's go back to the kids at home.
Yeah, but the thing is, dude, we never claim to have deep intel about anything.
No, because we don't know. We don't know anything.
I would argue it's extremely shallow. If anything, it's slightly entertaining.
I think that's why. That could be why we get all the angry comments about do your research and how come you didn't know this stuff. Like Gonky, you didn't know Turkey was the biggest country in the world.
I didn't literally. It must be from all the hate that I got, dude. And you know what's crazy is like we gave him mad props, dude. I think it's fantastic what Turkey's doing, but whatever.
People are angry. Hey, by the way, 27-20 in overtime. Michigan's winning.
Uh-oh.
4th and goal. So it all comes down to this. JP says, Happy New Year, guys. Hope it starts off great. 2 quick questions. Do you guys enjoy smoking cigars? If it's a yes for Gonky, are there designated smoking areas on the carrier? Love the show.
I've been known to smoke a cigar. Yeah, they're good. There are designated smoking areas on the carrier, and it was a bit of a I don't know if you want to call it a point of contention, but you'd be walking through the hangar deck and there would literally be like a line of people, kind of like they're waiting to get on a ride, like at an amusement park, and it was people waiting to get into the smoke pit to smoke. And when you're on the carrier, there's really no day off, right? There's really no breaks, right? You're working constantly because you are in the ship. And it was just, I don't know. Like I had when I was like a skedzo, like my YN, he was fantastic, but he was a chain smoker. And it seemed like every time, I was like, hey, where's YN1? Oh, he's on a smoke break. And he'd come back like 30 minutes later because you had to stand in line for like 15 minutes to do a 5-minute smoke. And then, it takes you 10 minutes to get back to the, to the ship once you go running up and down the stairs in the knee knockers. So, but yeah, there's smoking areas. You can't just smoke anywhere you want. So
that's one way to get extra breaks. Yeah. Get an extra break to smoke.
Well, that was the joke. Like, when I would get some laser tasking from some 04, I'd be like, I'm going to go take a smoke break. See ya. Even though I didn't smoke.
The problem is you die. There's that whole lung cancer part.
Yeah. Even secondhand smoke will get you. Got to be careful.
Yeah. Public service, kids.
Thanks, JP.
Yosarian
Thanks, man.
Lives Lives Tech says DARPA running out of acronyms. We already have a sprint missile and it's fast as F boy. What do you think about that?
Can that sprint missile carry people though? Maybe.
Dude, we could design a missile that can hover and carry people. Dude, we're gonna be rich.
Put a canine unit in it while you're at it.
Dude, yeah, fur missile in a missile. Yo, dog, I heard you like missiles. So here's a fur missile in your missile that's launched by another missile. It's like those, what is the Russian things? The Russian dolls that just, they keep,
I don't do dolls.
Doug would know. Doug would know. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't play with,
I don't play with
dolls.
Where it's like one inside the other and you just open it up. It's like the egg and it's like, oh, it's a Russian nesting dolls. Thank you, Laura.
No, move again. I don't.
Alan says, I think we should all form Mover and Gronky Defense Company. Rod Hardstock Defense Incorporated.
When we go bankrupt, I don't lose anything because I'm not Gronky.
Yeah, it's Moober. I'm drawing up the articles of incorporation as we speak. Jander's back, says deep intel on Texas and Washington.
Thanks, Jander.
Oh no deep. We got 4th and goal. It all comes down to this with Alabama. I'm watching it for you guys and gals. Smarnica says you guys are the best. Centimeters are still better than inches. That's what she said.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, keep on trying. Andre says greetings from Brazil, BR. A lot of audience down here.
Oh, thanks, man. What are you jumping out of an airplane? A perfectly good airplane? Is that what that is? That's awesome.
Brazil has some.
Mover, don't get us canceled.
I'm just saying, it's
there's
nice
kids
culture.
that watch this show.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot. New year, new me. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. Next topic is what? Loyal wingman.
Oh boy.
Yep. So the new in 2024. The Air Force plans autonomous flight test for drone wingmen. And so they're basically saying that they're going to accelerate in 2024 to have these drone wingmen. I don't know what a CCA is. Do you know what a CCA is?
Closed caption. No, I don't know, man. Sorry.
So breaking news.
Let me go.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Alabama just lost. Game's over.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Dang, where I live, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, they just rushed the field. Final overtime.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, back to our story. The Air Force plans to create a fleet of drone wingmen to fly alongside piloted fighter jets will accelerate in 2024. It calls collaborative combat aircraft is what a CCA is, by the way, are intended to fly alongside Fat Amy and the NGAD, which is the next gen air dominance platform. The service wants to be able to perform a variety of missions, include striking targets, conducting surveillance, jamming signals, and even acting as decoys. Hell yes. I love all of that. They've been talking about 1,000 CCAs for planning, but Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall in November said the fleet will likely end up being larger than that. So the proposed budget for 2024 is $50 million to test autonomous software on F-16 Project Venom. What is with the acronyms? Viper experimentation. Oh, wait, they're calling it the Viper. I'm going to get all these hate comments because I always call the F-16 the Viper. Well, looky here. Viper experimentation and next generation operations model would load autonomous code into 6 F-16s. They'd be flown by humans for takeoff and onto an in-air experimentation zone where the self-flying software would take over. They hope these experiments will show whether autonomous flight, as envisioned by the CCA, can bring intended benefits. I wonder if dude, you remember back a couple years ago where we did the fight for honor, and it was the AI.
Yes.
I wonder if that's involved.
Yeah, there's that big story where like the AI beat the F-16 pilot, right?
Yeah, because that was the idea, was to scale it up, eventually put it in jets. Yeah. So I wonder if that's kind of this.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like when they start to incorporate AI into these drones, it's gonna I mean, I don't know about you, but it took all of my little gray matter here to just control my jet. Can you imagine like doing your tactics and having to direct your loyal wingman? And it could get sporty, man.
Well, hold on. So let's finish the article. Their MQ-28 Ghost Bats is experimental aircraft to team up with the crewed aircraft, get airman operational experience. That's how they would train to use them. The service wants to be cheap enough that could be, depends on if you're in the Air Force or Navy, how you pronounce this, a tritable or a tritable. Because the Navy, Don't y'all say a trite?
Yeah.
That's wrong. It's a trit.
No, that's right.
Attrition. It's not a trite. It's the
Well,
it's the Queen's English, just like y'all say oblique instead of oblique, but I digress.
Tomato, whatever, man.
Yeah. According to Kendall, it'll be 1/4 to 1/3 the cost of an F-35. And there'll be 20 to 27 million. Dude, you remember when that was like the cost of a fighter? That's
a big
crazy.
gamble to take with a $30 million plane.
Yeah.
Right.
They've already pitched several different concepts for CCA, and the acquisition will take several years. So I have questions. Primarily, it's logistics, right? Because from a fighter pilot perspective, I think it's awesome. I think that I like the idea because to me, what do you want to do, right? You're on a DCA, defensive counter air, or OCA. You want to send the detonators. Well, send the dudes that are attritable or tritable, whichever. Let them soak up the missiles, and then you come in and save the day, and you know all the glory. The problem is what happens when the other side has it, and that's all you're just standing off with loyal wingmen until it's just you again. That's kind of my first question. But second, where do they come from? Do they launch like on drone runways with you? And do you then have to have drone runways at like Balad or, the Deed or wherever you're coming out of? Or are they like dropped from your jet and then the wings open and then you launch them out? Like, how does that work, Gonky?
I don't know. I mean, from, a naval standpoint, you can only put so many flying machines on a 5-acre aircraft carrier, right? So, the logistic piece, which I actually haven't thought of till you brought that up, actually seems like a pretty substantial hurdle now that I think about it.
Well, I could see for those of you that have watched my Ace Combat, I've learned a lot. My Ace Combat reviews, they had this big like airborne carrier thing, which is ridiculous, but let's say a B-52, right? Let's say you can put 10 of them in a B-52 and you've got, they drop and then the little wings pop out. And okay, so you just dropped 10 from the B-52. You've got a 10 ship of B-52s. There you go. Then they have to link up. My thing was what happens when they don't link up? Because the link never works, right? Yeah. So they'll be like flying off on their own, and one's gonna go, back home. One's just gonna run into you. Like, there's gonna be some growing pains.
Yeah, it depends on. Obviously, they're not gonna go wild dingo day one, right? So why not? Well, for the things that you just talked about.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying day one of a conflict. I'm saying day one of actually implementing
them. Yeah.
Using loyal wingmen. Like, they're not going to be like, all right, just turn this, it's good. Trust us.
All right, boys, good luck.
Right. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of handcuffs. I don't know, man. Part of me thinks like the whole B1 idea with just like hundreds of AMRAAMs or longer range missiles is a better plan for day one, just to
well, let's go back to the logistics thing, right? It's things that they're not talking about. So they're $20 to $27 million a piece.
That's a lot.
So they're not cheap, right? They're not like an air launch decoy or anything like that.
I did the math for 1,000 of them. That's a 2 with 10 zeros.
Okay.
That's a lot.
We don't know. We can't do that kind of math in public.
No, exactly.
But my question is, dude, let's say we go with 100 of them, right? Well, once they're done, and let's say we didn't trit all of them, where do they go? Can you imagine? Like, dude, Eglin used to get bombarded with 10 jets, and it was like the world was collapsing. Can you imagine a deployed location trying to recover 100 drones that aren't talking? Or they are talking, but they're like, there's a lot of logistics with that many other flying objects in the same piece of sky.
Yeah. I mean, how long does it take to recover that many, unmanned flying machines?
Well,
and then,
let's go back to our previous article, right? I mean, let's go back to our previous article. Now we take Mover and Gonky Ltd. Inc. and we make them hover. They have to be able to vertically take off and land.
Oh, dude.
So that they can. It's our proposal now. We're combining our contracts.
Well, now we need another 10 mil per copy because you want stealth and hover. I mean, these are expensive options to have on your flying machine.
Well, and EA. So now the thing's got to have a drone pod. And if you want it to have missiles, I mean, dude, now the thing's just a fighter.
Yeah. And that's just it, man. These like the it's not going to be 20 when they say 20 to 27 million dollars a copy. It's going to be like 50 million a copy.
Yeah.
Easy.
I'm gonna get 10 of them.
Right. It's like, what do we do with these things? You know, I don't know.
I conceptually, I think it's cool because especially with a very smart platform like the F-15EX or the F-35, where you can be the quarterback and, you know, you can send these dudes downrange. You can have them doing their Tron thing and soaking up missiles and, you know, all that stuff. I love the idea. But then I think logistically, I'm like, okay, well, it's a lot of iron in the sky, you know, composites, plastics, whatever it's going to be. And how do you get it there? How do you get it back? And how do you reuse it? Otherwise, we're spending $50 million on something that, or $27 million on something that's, you know, a one-time use only.
Yeah. And, you know, if you go up against, if you go up against let's say the first wave of the enemies is all like MiG-21s. So cool. You know, you're launching your 30 or $40 million drones to go attack, you know,
the MiG-17s.
$100,000.
North Korea's fleet of MiG-15s are coming over the DMZ.
Yeah. And some of them are getting smoked. I mean,
and then in this world of electronic warfare and cyber warfare, dude, what happens when the link's down?
Or,
you know,
what if they develop one of these microwave weapons?
Yeah. Well, I understand that. I mean, yes, you know, they're either going to get shot down by microwave weapons or missiles or whatever, but what happens when they're hacked? And, you know, now they're either turned against us or, you know, the link is hacked. Like, I understand you can have high levels of encryption and all this stuff can happen. I'm just saying that we are in removing the man because, right, they're autonomous. They're not like what we currently do with like the Reapers and all that stuff, which do have autonomous features, but we're taking the man-machine interface out of it, where it's just a, you know, you task it and then it goes, copy that, see you later. And you just hope it works. You hope that it does what you asked it to do. And, you know, it doesn't somehow get malicious code or it doesn't have some.
Didn't they make a movie about this?
Yeah, with Jessica Biel.
And Tyrese, right?
I don't remember anything but that part. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What if it grows a conscience?
What if it, I don't know, man. I've been listening to some of this AI stuff and it's scary. The last thing I would want is for them to have their own little fighter plane, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, these are just questions.
Yeah. And here's the thought. I mean, who's controlling them? Like, I mean,
it's the F-35s. It's, you are the quarterback for these things.
It wouldn't be better for the AWACS.
You want an AWAC guy to control the air picture?
I don't know, not the air picture, but the little disposable minions. Sure. What do I care? You know, you can still have global SA, you know, because you're tied into what's going on, but
to some degree, I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal for, you know, the F-35 guy, right? Because it's almost like, because what are you doing when you launch a missile? You're sending an autonomous drone to go kill somebody. You know, you're tasking it with, hey, that's the dude that needs to die. Go do that. Now it's only one task, and it's, you know, it's giving you information the same time, but to a lesser extent, you know, now it's just, okay, hey, drone number 4, I want you to go out 20 miles, Tron this, turn around and come back. You know, I mean, you're still tasking, you're still the quarterback. And what it does though, is it makes your tactics almost infinite, right? Because now you've got what you're doing with your 4-ship, what your autonomous drones are doing, all that stuff. I mean, dude, you're
better than me.
Just gone up to.
I'm gonna need a Wizzo.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not a bad.
I'm gonna need a Wizzo.
Here we go. Now we might need somebody that's their only job is to run.
A 2-seat F-35.
Oh God!
Didn't we talk about this?
We have an EX for that, Gonky.
I know.
All right. That's enough on that. We've talked too much.
Wingman.
Because they never saw the movie. Tom says, I guess they never saw the movie Stealth about the drone wingman turning back. Was he a wingman? I think the one in Stealth was like the full up flight lead. He was.
Yeah, he went rogue, and then I don't know. It's been a while. Don't waste your time, man. It's
there's a worthy time for that movie. Smartica says, I forgot to ask, do turboprops have any use on the battlefield, for example, in Ukraine, or are they only useful in uncontested environment? No, they do.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely do. Especially for austere airfields. Ukraine probably be a good one as long as you can keep it survivable. So not getting popped off by a Big Sam, but you can keep it kind of farther back and doing like low altitude, not uncontested, but lower threat. But Evil Sawboss says, have the drones combined together like Voltron. It's just one thing to land. Write that down, Gonky. Write this down for our. Yeah, dude, we're gonna be rich just giving the DoD ideas.
Voltron, dude. I haven't thought of Voltron in like 40 years, dude. 35
There's
years.
Your nostalgia in 2024. Ryan says, so you want the carrier from Avengers and the airplane Tin Man from Stealth. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Jordan says, sorry. The thing that scares me is they're trying to take the humanity out of war. Not a good idea. Relying on automation, forgetting there's human beings on the other end of the weapons. But that's what it will devolve to, right? No matter how many autonomous wingmen, when they kill each other, you're still going to have to fight each other eventually. Like you're never going to, otherwise you might as well just do this virtually. If they've got autonomous drones and we've got autonomous drones and they're just killing each other, then we might as well just do this in DCS. But eventually you're going to get to the man in the machine. You're going to get to the boots on the ground, knife fighting in the phone booth.
When you get through all 1,030 million dollar a piece drones.
Yeah. Alan says, even without proper hacking, when the EW jammer shows up, neither side can operate. Benching your Mavic is a lot cheaper than benching the $26 million doll hairs. Yeah.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah. Jarhead says, so we're going to send expensive drones that could be hacked against enemy targets. What could ever go wrong?
Built by the built by the government.
There you go. DCS tournaments to solve the world's issues. Yep.
As long as I'm not fighting it,
I've seen that movie somewhere.
Yeah. It's in the 80s, man. I think I was watching some of the clips from it the other day.
It's a hell of a game. The only real way to win is not to play. Hey man, let's talk about something cooler. You want to?
Oh no. What?
Oh, we're not there yet.
Okay, you sound too enthusiastic.
Yeah, no, we're just talking about flankers, dude. So to me, this is very suspect. And I know after certain people watch this segment, they're gonna text me and tell me exactly what happened. Su-27 flanker on display at the Air Force Museum was originally imported to be used for oil exploration. Dude, this just sounds like a tax write-off. And it's genius. Hey, write this down for our new defense contractor company.
It also discovers oil. In addition to being a drone,
oil.
it discovers
it hovers, it's stealthy, and it discovers oil.
Yeah, it makes oil. Heck with discovering.
Yeah, it creates oil that it therefore burns out the back. It's perpetual motion. It's like the magnet. When you put the magnet out front and it just goes forever.
That's how you
Why does it work?
Right?
There's anti-gravity technology. There's an interesting, almost forgotten detail in the history of the ex-Ukrainian. Dude, they probably need that about now. I bet they're watching this going, hey, bring it back.
There's two of them. They bought two of them, right?
Yeah. They probably want that back now. It's on display in Dayton, Ohio, and was brought to the U.S. to find oil and gas. It was recently acquired by the National Museum of the Air Force. It was not brought to be used in an aggressor role, which we'll talk about here in a second. In fact, it was bought from the Ukrainian government by a company called Terra Alliance Technologies, operated an oil exploration business from 2004 to 2009. Does this not sound like some kind of sweetheart deal? Like they're in the back room of some oligarch and they're like, hey, How about we give you 2 flankers and the guy turns to his lawyers like, what do we do with 2 flankers? And he's like, I want 2 flankers.
Well, we search for oil, clearly.
We'll search for oil. Yeah, we'll search for oil. It's a tax write-off. We can deduct the whole thing. This entire thing can be deducted. Around 2004, Terra Alliance Technologies founder, NASA engineer Erland Olson was looking for innovative ways to find oil fields. At a certain point, the company claimed to have exploration rights or being in the process of negotiating rights to explore across 4 different continents, including 8 African countries. Well, hell yeah, dude. If you've got that many rights, you need to get there fast. And what better than a supersonic jet fighter?
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. I don't know. It's very. I read this whole article and it was very suspect.
Olson decided that Terra Alliance needed to make its own maps rather than rely on purchased satellite data. Who needs Google Maps when you can fly Mach 2?
Who needs satellite data when you can do it?
$50,000 an hour versus my $50 subscription to Google Maps. Go. So the company bought an airplane and a helicopter, but he's like, you know what? This is too slow and too low. Let's go high fast. But we can't buy U-2. So let's buy something else. 2 Ukrainian Su-27 flankers. The intention was for the fighters to carry a pod with remote sensing technology and scan large areas in search for oil. What kind of pod? That must be the upgrade to the AT Flare.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what kind of pod they use for oil exploration, if they use one at all. I mean,
so they paid $22 million USD for the pair of jets, as well as another $4 million for an option to purchase 2. So they were going to go up with a 4-ship wall.
Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Wall.
That's right. If you can, if you think 1 can scan quickly, wait till you see how fast 4 can do.
We're talking Superman levels now. You put the 4-ship out in the wall, dude. You got the whole planet mapped out in a couple days. And then here's the best part. If you're in a contested area, you throw a couple archers and, dude, come get me. Come at me, bro.
You don't like what ATC tells you? You just keep going. What are they going to do?
This is like the oil version of like a blood diamond. Now you're just like, hey, I'll wait.
I think.
So anyway, they bought them and they disassembled them. And of course, it was registered to a company in Delaware. Which isn't that where you go when you want to register an LLC that doesn't get scrutinized the taxes. In the end, for legal reasons, this is a joke. Just joking. Please don't sue me. Oh no, the company ran out of money, so they can't sue me. In 2009, and the flankers were sold to the government. One might wonder whether this was just a scripted ending and the oil research mission was just a cover-up. Interesting. However, nothing has emerged so far to support this theory, except for the fact that it's a obvious answer to the theory.
Did the oil exploration company actually run out of money, or
they never actually explored any oil either?
Maybe if they didn't blow their $25 million on oil.
My oil company needs to have all the flankers. Gonky, I want to start a car rental company and buy jets.
Like in the business plan, like when you probably went to some investors for money, it's like, all right, day 1, we're going to buy 2 flankers. It's like, wait, what? It's like, I'm out.
Day 1, 1 flanker. Day 2, 2 flankers. Day 3, should I go on? Eventually, we'll have all the flankers. Meanwhile, Ukraine's like, hey, bud.
Yeah,
we need those back.
We need those, like right now.
It was covered with the Pride badge. The Pride is the company, not Pride didn't that Pride didn't exist at the time. The rest of the story is one we have already described here. They got the certificate of airworthiness, and then it was operated by Tactical Air Support, retaining their Ukrainian splinter camouflage. So they actually did do contract. Well, they were supposed to by Tactical Air Support.
Yep.
Both flankers were removed from the U.S. register in 2018. Whether they were actually operated for adversary services, some believe that it continued to operate, but we'll never know. Gonky, we could have flown these, dude.
Yeah, maybe if
So
they would have
here's-
discovered oil.
Well, so now we can open up our aperture. The mover Gronky Rod Hardstock Limited company. We can not only give ideas to the government, but maybe we can start we could start a business that we can then buy flankers or make
why not, man?
Su-57s. Let's think bigger. Let's buy Su-57.
I need a flanker to sell coloring books. Let's be honest.
There you go. Put it in your business plan.
Put it in my business plan. It's in my FY24 budget.
FY24 breaking news: Gonky buys a flanker. You heard it here first. All right. Yeah. I've got some serious news. Gonky.
I haven't seen this yet.
Catastrophic engine failure. So over at MSY not too long ago, Southwest 737 MAX took off and had, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did it take birds? It was an uncontained engine failure.
I don't think I've seen this one.
It played out almost exactly like the sim, because you do these 100 times, right? You put the little line out there and you go fly until you get everything squared away, then you turn and then you go back and stuff. It's too bad we don't have Wombat because he does these 1,000,000 times a day as an instructor.
That's the Boeing way of doing things, dude.
We're borrowing from real ATC. Thank you. Oh God.
Rated R.
All these things. Okay.
Southwest 554 on Sarah, runway 115, runway heading for takeoff.
I recognize that guy's voice.
Runway heading, clear for takeoff, runway 11, Southwest 554.
All right, so they take off. Have you been in New Orleans since they put the new terminal in?
When did they put that in?
Oh, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Southwest 554, connect first.
Southwest 554, emergency aircraft. We need to return.
Okay, so, well, hold on. Let it play real quick. I want to talk about something real quick.
Southwest 554, and second.
Okay, so he stays with tower because this obviously happens like rotation. They haven't switched yet, which is interesting because in the military, what are you on when you take off?
Departure.
Right. So civilian, a little different. They don't necessarily auto switch you when you take off. So you're still with tower. And I was reading the comments and some people get a little bit flustered about this because of what he just said, which was we're an emergency aircraft. And you get the say again. So there's a little bit of confusion. For the people at home, the IKO for declaring an emergency is what? Oh my God, Gonky, are we gonna freeze you? Would you just thing here? So
what made it? Is it Mayday?
Yeah, Mayday, or pan, depending on whether you need priority with emergency services and stuff like that. So a lot of people are poo-pooing them for not saying Mayday. When this happened, I think that's garbage.
And
I think the people that get mad about this are nitpicking. Because until you've had a real engine failure in real life, it is a little different than, well, he didn't say the right phraseology. I don't have any problem with this. And I bet you he's a military guy. 100%. Because in the military, we don't say Mayday, because it's French. It's surrender. It's help me. Right. No, we say as cool and as calm as we can be. River 11 emergency.
Yeah. I'm coming back.
So this guy, yeah, we're letting you know what's about to happen.
Exactly.
We are not Mayday. I've got a problem. I don't know when we went all. It's just as commie as the metric system. I don't know when we went to this Mayday, pan thing, but we got to get away from the French. Just declare the emergency. But anyway, I digress because people got mad at him for this, and then it's going to cause confusion. So they might be a little right, but I say these dudes did a great job so far.
Yeah.
We haven't watched the rest, but I digress.
Southwest 554, emergency aircraft. We're returning.
He repeats.
554, roger that, and turn left heading of 360 back to downwind.
360, heading downwind.
So as you can
You guys have smoke coming out of one of your engines.
So somebody keys up, and I think there's a picture of it trailing smoke.
564, turn left heading. Southwest 564, turn left heading 280.
Heading 280, Southwest 554.
You know why he sounds like that?
They don't have their mask on, do they?
They got their masks on.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were smoking that probably from the packs.
Yep. Yep. They got in the cockpit because it was the #1 engine.
Oh.
So they sound like this because they've wrapped. So think about this, dude.
Oh,
this
dude.
happens low altitude.
Oh, no bueno.
Low altitude. Okay. They get everything. Okay. Now, I don't know about the Airbus, but the 737 requires a full boot of rudder, and then you trim it out to keep going. Like once you get squared away, you've got to trim it out. I mean, it does take some rudder. It's not because it's not like a F-18 or T-38 or something like that.
No,
it requires rudder. So they're fighting this, with the big yoke. And now they've got smoke in the cockpit. So they're doing the quick don mask, but you've got to go in, grab it, assuming they tested it, which legally you have to. That's not to say everybody always checks it every time. Right. Put this mask on, and now you're trying to talk. Dude, this is like a simulator nightmare. This is like your check ride. You're like, God, why did he give me all this?
No, you don't get the mask in your check ride in the sim because it sucks.
Yeah. So these dudes are at low altitude, hand flying. And they might have the autopilot on by now, but they're still.
I mean, dude, on takeoff, they just took off. They got their masks on now, engines out. Their plate's full, 100%.
Yeah, and they got some guy saying, "Hey, you're trailing smoke." They got smoke in the cockpit. Uncontained engine failure.
Delta 564 and Air Force off the left wing. Do you still have it in sight?
I recognize that guy's voice. I've talked to these people.
We do have the airport site, Southwest 554.
So 564, you cleared visual approach runway 11, clear to land. Do you need emergency vehicle?
We need everything you have. Clear the visual, clear to land 11, Southwest 554.
I think that was a little extraneous from the controller. You declared emergency, at least in the military side, and I think that's civilian too. Roll everything? Yeah, when you declare an emergency, you get ARF,
everything, don't they?
Or ARFF, you get the firefighting until you tell them otherwise, which would be no assistance required, which is different, which goes back to the why didn't you say Mayday, Mayday, Mayday? But when you declare an emergency, you get everything. So
he's probably just double checking, man. I mean, how often does this happen, right? I mean,
what?
Delta 564 and bases at your discretion. Delta 564, be advised we do have emergency vehicles waiting for you on the ground.
Cool story. I'm busy. Yeah.
554,
Rex, take your time.
Don't tell me how. You're not my real mom. Don't.
Dude.
Oh
man.
Southwest 554, we had a burst like we lost the #1 engine. We do need emergency equipment.
So at this point, you can tell they finally gotten to the point where they're like, okay, we got to run the checklist.
Yeah.
Here's what we have. We go through the procedures. Did you shut this off? Did you do this? How many souls on board? What are we needing? Brief the passengers, brief the flight attendants. Because remember, it's not just like we're sitting in an F-16. I briefed myself. I talked to the SOF. I talked to, maybe top 3 or whatever.
We landed by now.
You got a whole bunch of people you got to tell. Yeah. But the thing is, too, it's a 2-engine aircraft, so there's not a huge hurry to get back on the ground. Unless something's on fire, which it doesn't sound like. I don't know what.
Well, they got their masks on. That's the only thing I'm like, man, when there's smoke in the cockpit, I'm getting this thing.
And just let me know when
may have gone away by now, though.
Delta 564, and are you ready for a base turn, or you still need a few minutes?
We still need a couple of minutes.
So,
take all your time you need. Very fast. Correct. Southwest 564. Just be advised.
Try to call him American. Who cares? If you leave the Bravo, you leave the Bravo.
Right.
He's not a Cessna.
So 564, and I see you're turning south. Are you turning inbound now?
We're doing a base, but we're not really quite.
So this is them. I can tell you 100%. They're still trying to mess with put the approach in, get all that stuff, and then get turned towards it. I mean, dude, there's a lot to do right now. They are busy.
In the 7.3, so in the Skybus, you can have it in your secondary. So if this ever happens, just activate the secondary, and then it'll all be loaded.
Software, yeah,
right away.
Most of the time, though, you put that if there's like a departure procedure, like an emergency, the single engine out, where you've got to avoid mountains and stuff, and it'll auto come up. But I don't think New Orleans has anything like that.
No, huh? It shouldn't. I mean, because it's pretty flat.
That's a good point, though. Turning when they did, off the screen over here is the city,
right?
Buildings and stuff. So, I mean, in some cases, you may say, hey, fly straight as long as you can, don't turn, but you don't want to go fly over the city with this thing. So I think it's a kind of a good heads up move to go, hey, let's get turned, this way.
Yep.
South 564, no worries. Take all the time you need. For now, suggest heading 140.
I think the controller's doing a good job of helping him too. Although they overshoot, which is going to make the magenta line look like it's going to be like, well, it's going to be intercepting.
See you turn back towards the final. Are you commencing your approach now?
Someone's saying check ride bust right there, boys.
Yeah.
South
but this is real life. It's not pretty all the time.
No, I know. No.
Southwest 564, and when able, if able, advise souls on board and fuel remaining.
Wait for this.
168 people on board.
They're full. I mean, I think you can get like 173 on that one.
South 564 and second.
168 people.
Roger.
Full of fuel, full of people. Oh, we overshot again. There you go. And they land.
Very nice. Very nice.
Dude. Honestly, I don't care what anybody says. They did a good job.
Yeah. I mean,
they did a good job. This is awesome.
And here's the thing, you could take a look at any emergency, and there's been mistakes along the way.
Yeah, there's always
small
stuff
mistakes.
You can learn.
Right. Debrief items.
But I don't like the people that are like, well, they didn't use the right comp, dude. Smoke in the cockpit, lost an engine. I mean, this is not something that happens every day.
No, man, smoke in the cockpit is a big deal. Yeah. Big deal.
Wow. You ever had an engine failure on takeoff?
I had the VEN fail in the Hornet on takeoff.
I hit a bird on takeoff in the T-38 during a formation takeoff, and I got time compression because it was at rotation. Dude, I did not know if I had aborted or if I had for a while, my mind was like, oh, I must have tried to abort and then changed my mind. But when you watch the HUD tape, it was like, dude, there's a lot going on when you lose an engine low to the ground.
Dude, I lost a cylinder in a Cessna 172 at night with my wife. And by the time I got my head wrapped around what was happening, I had no clue where I was at. So yeah, I mean, your mind does funny things in high stress scenarios. And these guys.
Yeah. Okay. So a question from Justin on this topic. Pardon me for not being an airline pilot. Why would you not just immediately put the bird down and instead plug out all sorts of landing information in? Because that is how you fly an airliner. So the safest way to land an airliner, especially when you've got a good engine, what do they say, Gonky? No fast hands in the cockpit. If you speed up, you actually have more of a chance of creating an incident where this jet's still flying. Everything is still okay.
Well, Justin, so it really depends on the severity of what's happening to you. So I jump seated on a UPS 7.5, and the captain, his brief was, and those guys carry like lithium batteries and stuff, right? So for those guys, if they had a fire on board, he briefed the FO. He said, we're going to do a 180 and land opposite direction. And he said, you don't ask the tower that we can do that. You tell them we're doing that. So, I mean, his you know, that's because statistically, right, that fire in the cargo hold, you don't have very much time.
Well, that killed those guys in the Middle East, right?
It killed them, yeah, exactly, in the 7-4. But like Mover's saying, an engine failure is not. I mean, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but there's plenty of performance left in the good engine,
right,
to more normally land the airplane. And a more normal landing in an airliner is the more safer approach to do it. Because if you get a little cowboy with an airliner, things can go sideways in a hurry, because that's not normally how we land them, right? So
yeah, and with the 737, you know, it calculates, you know, your V speeds based on your weight and stuff like that. You want to input all that stuff, have the right runway, have the approach loaded up in the box, because you're under stress. The more you can make it look normal, the better your chances are, because what happens is when the adrenaline gets spiked and that OODA loop gets going, people start making mistakes, and there's no reason to compound one emergency with mistakes of basic airmanship when it's not necessary. You know, you're not saving anything by trying to hurry and get back or anything, because like you said, Gonky, the engine had done its thing. Okay, we don't have that engine anymore. We shut it down. Okay, I've got one good engine. I'm gonna get on the ground. You know, as it's land as soon as possible, not land now or else. You know, it's as soon as you can safely do so. So awesome. Thanks for the question, Justin. I think it's valid to ask. It's, you know, I mean, it's a multi-engine mentality, really.
yeah.
Spartan says, you guys are DCS famous. The Grim Reapers in their Su-30 video mention you guys. Dude, I want to try that new Su-30 in DCS. It looks awesome.
Didn't you say that it was like not totally accurate or whatever?
Apparently I'm wrong.
Oh,
the flight model is all right. So the Su-30's got a clickable cockpit or something. It's got
really?
Yeah. So the new Su-30 that's free, we can go try. We'll talk about DCS here in a little bit. Smarka says one. And Matt Mittens didn't do anything, but he says it's pre-recorded, and I just want to show him that it's not.
Nice picture.
So anyway, moving on to my last topic before Gonky gets into his topics.
Oh boy.
Speaking of Gonky being famous, not DCS
man.
Gonky is real world famous. Like, I was on Fox News, but Gonky got us an entire article.
Yeah, but
for himself.
Look, I did this because somebody had lost his voice. Not gonna say any names,
dude. I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk. I called you. I'm like, hey, can you do this for me?
Can you talk to this guy? I was like, oh, no, this is how I get arrested.
Felt so bad. Thursday was when it hit, and then it got progressively worse until yesterday. So I appreciate you jumping on that grenade. But anyway, Forbes has an article called 5 Things That Happened in 2023. The Fighter Pilot's Quick Take. And if you know Gonky, there's no such thing. So here's the problem, Gonky. They got your name right.
I know.
You're not Rod Hardstock or Gronky. You're actually your actual name here.
There's no getting out of this one, man.
And they got everything right about the Malaysian Air Force, Boeing, Air Force Reserve.
It's all there.
He even name drops this guy named C.W. Lemoyne over here.
I didn't say C.W. Lemoyne. I said Mover.
Why am I a fellow former fighter pilot? Aren't we always fighter pilots forever?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's not fair. But anyway, he says the past year has provided a wealth of news to choose from, much of which I've also written. So we got his thoughts. Gonky's waded in.
You're so enjoying this, man. This is great.
I love it, dude. I love it.
This is great.
So Gonky weighed in on the most controversial topic of 2023.
Whoa. I got asked these questions. I didn't weigh in on nothing. I got asked.
So what do you think about the F-16s going to Ukraine? No, he says, drawing an analogy between the Ukraine war and the U.S. involvement in World War II. Dude, you're a historian. You know things.
Well,
it reminds me of the run up to World War II. Tell me more.
I'm not that old.
We didn't get involved. We supplied Britain with weapons and airplanes via Lend-Lease. Did you really quote the Lend-Lease Act of 1941? Look at that. Doug would be so impressed with you right now. He'd be like, Gonky's smart. It's a worthy historical point, and Hartsock adds that the results were mixed. A likelihood in the case of the F-16s to Ukraine. Here come the hate comments. I don't see in any short-term picture where giving the Ukrainians F-16s is going to make much of a difference. It took the Navy 3 years to train me up to combat flight leader. So
that's a true statement.
How long it took the Navy to transition Gonky to a flight lead is why the Ukrainian thing is never going to work.
No, my point was it takes time to train pilots, maintainers.
So
it takes time to put the logistics in place. It takes time.
Because the Navy took me 3 years, then these guys have no chance.
Don't you twist this out of context, Moober.
That's exactly what I'm here to do, sir.
Dude.
Nonetheless, he agrees that the Ukrainian Air Force is highly motivated, and that the Spectre, it's from the books, of the Ukrainian... the F-16's Ukrainian sky further dims the latitude for Russian freedom of action over its territory. Dude, that is smarter than what I would have said. I don't know anything about Lend-Lease.
So that last bit there, those weren't my exact words, but he took my third grade English and made it sound a little more. So
he gave you.
He gave you brains.
So I guess what I would have said was, if they had asked me, which thankfully you took that bullet.
Now that your voice is back, let's hear it.
I would just say what you said, the Lend-Lease Act or something. And but I would also add that it's a morale boost, because, you've already got these, we've seen in the news where they're talking about, well, the F-16 shot down 3 flankers, which is not true, by the way, but it has come out. So you're already getting this folklore, just like we got with the Ghost of Kyiv.
Oh yeah.
They love that. And the morale boost of, hey, we've got international support, we've got newer jets, we're getting some help. That there's something to be said about the morale and just the feeling of support, as well as the increased capability of, now they can shoot harms. Now they can actually do a seed mission, because right now I think they're throwing harms on the MiG-29, but it has it doesn't talk to anything. It's just the missile does what the missile does. So having the increased capability is great, but I agree with you. I mean, this is not something that happens overnight. I mean, they're still going to need to be trained, which they are. They are getting trained, and I think contractors are currently training them out in Poland or something.
Is it going to help? Yes. How much? I don't think a whole lot at the beginning, but I mean, that's just my thoughts.
All right, let's see what else you had to say, because that was 1 of 5. Fat Amy goes missing, dude. Did you just make Fat Amy mainstream?
Well, it's pretty widely used in the actual force. We definitely don't say Panther.
One of the biggest popularly reported incidents of the year was the September crash of the Marine F-35, even with a viral ask for public assistance. I remember that. Hartsock and Lemoyne, he threw me in there too, whimsically referred to the F-35 as Fat Amy, a nickname in use inside the military, which refers to the stealth fighter's weight and thick fuselage, which wags have compared to... Wags?
Did
Is that
Wags
Wags?
get in there?
Wags have compared to the Fat Amy character portrayed by actress Rebel Wilson in the Pitch Perfect film series. Gonky says they're trying to figure out whether flight procedures need to change. Do they need changes in the F-35B software or hardware? We had a Super Hornet crash in my Navy squadron. I've been involved in a couple of these mishap investigations. I've been that guy assigned to a case. What are you, Dick Tracy?
How else would you say it?
I don't know. I just think it's hilarious. It can be frustrating when speculation gets out. It can undermine your work. I understand why they're tight-lipped about it, but we will find out what happened. I just don't know when. Here we go. Truth. This is the one that gets Gonky sued. The MiG-23 whose backseater punched. Hartsock, who was flown and instructed in 2-seat Hornets and Super Hornets, says the apparent confusion over the need to eject and the decision-making is eyebrow-raising. Pete, who's smarter than both of us, says a wag is like a wit. So that's actually just a word, not wags. My take on it is that the backseater who did an interview on YouTube shortly after the accident raises some red flags, he says. Number one, he's out speaking about it right away on the YouTube. Red flag number two is that he remembers everything in his account of the accident. But when they ask him if he was the one who pulled the ejection handle, he can't remember. I've never ejected from a plane, but I grabbed the handle once because I thought I was going to have to. I clearly remember that decision because my life passed before my eyes.
Yes.
Did your life include this? Was the Mover and Gonky show flashed in front of you?
No, because the Mover and Gonky show had not yet evolved.
So it's just old stuff. It's not future stuff when your life flashes in front of your eyes.
I clearly remember grabbing the handle. I mean, I can't see how this guy would be like, I remember absolutely every detail about this flight except
time
me
compression.
ejecting us.
Yeah, time compression.
Yeah, but dude.
Okay. Him not speaking speaks volumes. Whoa. Alliteration.
Yeah, the pilot, yeah.
Alliteration? No. All right, so the B-21. We said, what does Gonky know about that?
Not a lot.
Are bombers back? Are we in a throwback age wherein the bomber will always get through? As was the mid-1930s cliche, I asked Hartzog. I don't think they ever left.
It's true.
It's the friends you made along the way. A bomber has its place like a tanker or a fighter plane. I believe there's always a time and place for a straight B-52. Any offensive or defensive use of an asset like that is going to be in concert with other tactical layers. But it sounds like a very capable plane. Sure has capabilities we haven't even realized yet. Hey, you just said that earlier.
I did?
Yeah, one of the previous things about how, if it's out, you don't know. Remember? We're talking about something.
Maybe, probably.
You never listen, Gonky. All right, Tomcats.
Oh,
Iranian
no.
Tomcat escorts Putin. Is this the worst one?
I thought we were joking.
What, about the Tomcat thing?
No.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Have you not read this article, Gonky?
I did read it, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I enjoyed the interview.
Comment, dude. I'm not going to read it, but that's funny. Oh, boy. Here's what he said. Stand by for the hate mail. I think that was probably the only up airplane they had that day. The good old Grumman Ironworks F-14. They probably urinated in the gas tank. It lit off, and they were like, let's go.
Strangely, that is something I would say. So I cannot deny it.
So close. Why, Gonky? Why?
You know why? Because somebody lost their voice. I don't do well when you put the mic in front of me.
Man, that's awesome.
I
there are no cats in America.
Yeah.
If I was Putin, I'd be laughing about that, Hartstock says. He didn't say Hartstock. He should have, though. The Iranians' ability to keep the venerable Tomcats flying is oddly impressive, he adds, though he points out that keeping an airplane flying and keeping it mission capable are two different things. When I was an active duty Hornet guy, we dove into the Iranian Tomcat capability. Oh boy, here comes the jail. It was pretty much no different than what you see today. What was super high tech in 1972 might be reproducible today with a 3D printer and an iPhone. Gonky, you don't know anything about 3D printing or iPhones.
I do too. I don't know anything about iPhones.
Yeah, they're magical to you. As to whether he would consider taking a seat in the cockpit, Gonky didn't say, though he sympathized with the Tomcat Iranian crews. I'm not sure they have a choice. They're probably told to fly and they go fly. That's awesome, dude.
I don't know, man. I was just trying to help out. Mover lost his voice. The guy, he was, I can't remember his name. Super nice guy. Eric, yeah. He's very knowledgeable on military aviation, and it's fun to talk to. So I enjoyed it.
So we need to talk to Wags about getting the Tomcat pee in the gas tank mod for an extra 3,000 pounds of thrust aside.
Probably should have said, okay, off the record, this is what I think actually
You're never
happened.
off the record. You're always on the record. That's funny, dude. That is
off button's not working.
Your off button's not working. The off button's not
stuck on. This is wild.
OFF. No, Gonky, I'm going to give you credit. That was a good interview. Good job.
It
was good. No, it was good. I liked it. I thought that the thing about the Ukrainian thing was smart. Lend-Lease Act. I mean, that's super knowledgeable about the things. The thing about B-21s, about bombers. Yeah, those are things. And then the other things you said, like, great.
Yeah, I'm still. Yeah, hopefully I don't end up doing this from prison.
No, you'll just get a strongly worded letter like I got.
I don't want one of those.
Yeah, whatever. They go away after a while.
Yeah.
Smarnka says $1.
Thank you. Thanks.
He's getting paid for his takes.
Hey.
Tagaro SPT says, Happy New Year, Mover and Gonky. Always wondered your thoughts on the F1-11. That's an
111 or the Mirage F1 dash.
Have you seen a very low pass Evans Heaton YouTube RAF shenanigans? Well, if it's RAF, it's probably the F111. He just got the thing wrong.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. The F111, it was super
awesome.
fast. It goes super low. It was a great electronic attack airplane that some would argue we have not been able to replace. And I flew with a lot of those Australian F111 guys when they transitioned to Super Hornets. Great dudes. A lot of fun. Tons of fun.
There you go. Way before our time. Gonky, it's your turn.
All righty, let's see what we got here. I don't have Doug to help me out, so you guys have to bear with me. Let's see. Share screen. All right.
Here's how we super get fired.
Here's all right, here. We'll talk. This one's interesting. All right, so
hold on. Got to get it on the screen first.
Is it on?
Now it is. Go. Oh, no, dude. This is the first ever dogfight between F-18 and jet fighter.
Is it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
I only have one screen, so I can only see.
What are we talking about? I thought we were talking about social media. You want to do the Hornet versus MiG-25? Fine.
Yeah. Does it matter?
No.
All right. I didn't get the script before this show. All right. Yeah. So the Eurasian Times first ever dogfight between F-18 fighter and MiG-25 recalled when U.S. jet lost to world's fastest Foxbat. So pretty good article here. There's some details I wasn't aware of. So in my fleet squadron, he'd be my second skipper. He was on Saratoga, which was the same boat that this particular Hornet was on at the kickoff of the Gulf War. So he told us the story, and then I read this story, and there were some details that were a little different. But going from what the article says here, we've got during the Iran-Iraq war, the Iraqis used the MiG-25s as basically their high-altitude, high-speed interceptors. So when we, on January 17th, kicked off the Gulf War, it says here in the wee hours of 17 January 91, Lieutenant Dawood, I think is how you pronounce that, of the Iraqi Air Force, he hopped in his MiG-25 and was told to scramble. So MiG-25 immediate takeoff was his commands, and he takes off. Where it gets a little bit different from the account that I heard from my old skipper was the fact that his first intercept was not what ends up being Scott Spiker, who gets shot down. So there's an alpha strike going on from the ship. You got a bunch of you got 10 Hornets out front. You got some A6 intruders. And the second wave is probably your strikers with some prowlers for electronic attack, and then F-14As bringing up the rear, probably to cover them as they're egressing. So the Navy strike formation was detected before they crossed the border, and so they launched MiG-29s to intercept some B-52s, and then they launched these MiG-25s to get the Navy strike package. So first, he locks onto another Hornet that is piloted by Lieutenant Anderson here. So Lieutenant Anderson discovers the MiG-20 on his radar via he IDs him electronically, and he says, "I immediately knew it was an enemy airplane because we have electronic ID on the Hornet. I could see the afterburner flame. It is an extremely long yellow flame that I had seen before on a MiG-25. There's no question about what you have when you see that. As soon as I took a radar lock on him, he turned right, and that point he started to go around me in a counterclockwise direction. I did a couple circles with him. That's the part that's different from the account that I heard from my old skipper, who, like I said, who was there. So interesting. So they do a couple circles, and it looks like Dawood's radar was still warming up. So it sounds like his offensive capability was 0. He describes his maneuver as breaking the lock, and at that point, Anderson, the Hornet pilot, was asking the AWACS for a hostile declaration, which they never gave him. So he wasn't going to shoot. First day of the war, a lot of airplanes flying around. You want to make sure you shoot the right guy. It says when they both reached opposite ends of the circle, they rolled out, switched off their. Dawood rolled out, switched off his afterburners to ditch the American aircraft on his tail. Anderson lost sight of Dawood. However, the MiG-25 was turning east, and Dawood actually flew over Anderson's wingman flying in another Hornet. So I don't know. I guess they didn't have NVGs on. So it says the target. I'm sorry. It says by now, Dawood lost contact with his target and reported the same to the ground control, which then advised him to turn east and engage another target around 40 kilometers away. The MiG-25 turned east, and that target was another Hornet flown by Lieutenant Commander Scott Spiker. So Scott was approaching his harm launch point, and Dawood locks him up at 38 kilometers and fires an R-40 at him. And it looks like, obviously, it hit him, unfortunately. The flight data recorder and Spiker's Hornet was examined in 95 and provided a detailed account of the jet's flight parameters. So in 17 seconds, Spiker accelerated to 540 knots and descended 27,872 feet. So that's pretty quick. Yeah. And the AWACS controller observed 2 contacts emerging at the appropriate time, I guess, of what would be the time of impact. It says the left side, it hit the left side under the Hornet's cockpit, which I don't know how they can tell, maybe by looking at the wreckage of the airplane. And he did not get out. He was killed. And I remember, here, I'll stop sharing. So I remember when this happened, I was a kid, but I was in Saudi Arabia. And so we were watching AFART's Armed Forces Radio and Television service every night. And a lot of these details didn't exist at the time. So there was, hey, he got shot down by MiG-25, and then no, he didn't. He got shot down by anti-aircraft. No, he didn't, or just crashed. So it was actually a long time before we actually figured out what happened to Spiker. But my skipper told me they pretty much knew right away that his take on it was basically the MiG-25 stern converted Scott and shot him down. So, but that article sheds some different light and a couple of different views on what happened, and it's quite detailed. It's a good read. Mover, what's your take on that whole shoot down? He was the first Navy casualty in the war, and I mean at the time the F-18 was a new jet. Yeah, it was a new jet,
brand new back then.
Yeah, so the Navy mid 80s they started bringing them in, and this was the first time the whole idea of a specific built multi-role fighter going to war. So it was their newest airplane. It got shot down day one. What do you think, Mover?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime there's a loss of life, it's this is not something you take lightly. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I can get the whole, you didn't have a declaration, so they didn't do anything. And then, the guy just kind of meanders in front of him and they shoot. So those parts kind of sound relatively similar in the 2 stories, you're talking about. From what the article says, it sounds like, it was, the missile was like a direct impact to immediate kill. Like there wasn't, the dude probably never knew, 1 minute he's flying, the next minute he's gone. I mean, it wasn't like a, he didn't have to fly out, try to fly out of anything or try to eject or anything like that. I think it killed him instantly, which is pretty bad, especially in a war like that, where America had been relatively war-free for a while, and now we're going in and actually losing people. Did they shoot anybody down that night, like on the Iraqi side?
No, I think the next day is when they got the 2 MiG-21 kills. And that article, the one thing that's inaccurate about that article is it says a dogfight. So there was never, between at least Spiker's jet and the MiG-25, there was never a dogfight. Like Mover's saying, I'm pretty sure he was just trying to execute his harm launch, and all of a sudden he blew up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's part of war. I mean, especially the fog of war, where you probably had AWACS talking, everybody's talking, nobody knows, the information that there was actually somebody within a threat range was probably not passed to him, and then it cascades from there.
Yeah, if you listen to I listen to aircrew interviews podcast, it's good. They've interviewed guys who like the Eagle drivers who shot down a lot of the MiG-29s, and there was a lot of comm and a lot of airplanes in the sky, during the thick of the air war in Desert Storm, and that there was definitely a lot of shots. Like there were shots that could have been taken that weren't taken just because there wasn't enough time on the radio to get a declaration.
Yeah.
And that's just how we're trained to fight, right? You don't want to you don't roll the dice, shoot, right, and then you smoke one of your own buddies. That would be terrible.
Yeah. I know they had raw gear, right?
Ooh, back then, I don't know. I don't think the Tomcats had raw gear back then.
What about the Hornets?
I don't know. And I only know that from listening to some of the F-15 interviews, because they talk about.
Even if they did, I guess my point is, if you're in a strike package, it could be going off constantly because all the trons downrange, it could just be like the whole time, and the dude has just zoned it out. And why would somebody be behind me? Why would somebody have stern converted behind me? Where you're not expecting it. That expectation bias. You're not expecting somebody to be there. And nobody tells you, hey, that's the visual mutual support. So your wingman's inside, in the drool cup, cranium's down, doesn't say, hey, break left, bandit, you're 6 o'clock, 2 miles, like we do in ACM.
Yeah. Typically, that whole scenario, even when the skipper told me way back when, I always thought well, where was the AWACS? Where was the, whoever was doing the big picture surveillance, why, if you got stern converted, you would think somebody with the big picture would have told him. Right. Yeah. But, like you said, the fog of war, there was a lot of airplanes going on. I mean,
yeah,
that's how it happens sometimes. Right. So unfortunately, but yeah, it took a long time for them to figure it out. And it took a long time for his, remains to make it back. And, I believe the Hornet sitting down here in Pensacola is painted and dedicated to him at where the Old Schools Command, or OCS, is here in Pensacola. But yeah, it's sad.
Is that the only U.S. shoot down in the last?
No, they had A6s get shot down. Also, Saratoga, I had a pretty rough go. They lost some A6s. They lost a Tomcat.
Air.
Saratoga, I'm not sure Saratoga lost Tomcat, but no, Sam's, stuff like that.
No, I mean air to air. Have there been?
Oh, I think this is the only air to air loss in the Gulf War.
Yeah, since then, I can't think of any.
Yeah, you're right. This might be it since
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. All right.
Yeah. Bueno.
Moving on to the next one.
What do you want?
Can you do that? Can you do the USAFA monitor social media?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, share it. Oh boy.
Yeah. Wretched Rob says Scott O'Grady was shot down, but that was a SAM. Yeah, I'm thinking air to air kills. I can't think of any relevant. I honestly didn't even know about this one. It wasn't.
Yeah, there might be a helo. Might be a helo kill. I don't know. I think that was the last.
There's definitely we shot our own helo down.
Right.
And we've shot our own F-15s down.
Well,
right?
yeah, with Patriots, we shot down a Hornet. I mean, unfortunately that guy died, but I mean, like it's war's bad, right? I mean, accidents happen.
Yeah, fog of war is a real thing.
Yeah.
All right, Gonky, take it away.
All right. Disclaimer, I did not go to the academy, neither did Mover. Air Force Academy moves to monitor social media for potential cadet misconduct. All right, so here's another business opportunity for us, Mover. The U.S. Air Force Academy aims to hire a contractor or available that can closely monitor popular social media platforms for posts that contain that violate national laws and its official policies or display potential hate speech, misinformation, disinformation, or harassment from its cadets. Interested vendors are invited to respond by Friday. So
which Friday? Did we miss the deadline?
Well, wait, what's the date on this bad boy?
No, I think it's
December 22nd. Oh, dude.
Yeah, they've
another one slipped through our fingers.
Sold the contract.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to sell your vet if we landed one of these. Just kidding. U.S. Air Force Academy is seeking assistance to prevent harmful online activities. Our goal is to advance cadet character and leadership in preparation to serve in this nation in the digital age. It goes on to talk about while solicitation is also explicitly calls out YouTube and TikTok, it states that the Academy needs immediate support for monitoring Jodel, an app where users can anonymously, big words, post blurbs and media that can be viewed by others nearby. So Mover and I guess, are too boomers to know, but I did a quick search of Jodel and I've never heard of this app until I read this article. But
it's probably Jodel.
What?
Like Yodel?
Yodel? Am I even pronouncing it right?
Yeah, I feel like
I
can't wait until people correct us that it's what's a Jodel?
Jodel.
No, Yodel.
It uses the on the line technology. Let's see.
My dial up won't get into Jodel today.
Yeah, okay. Jodel, whatever, has been considered popular at military colleges and service academies in recent years, but not without controversy. In 2020, reports detailed the anonymous chat app enabled racist and sexist exchanges between students at Virginia Military Institute. Pentagon review released in August 23 spotlighted the rise in misconduct and sexual assaults in military academies, which revealed students can access inaccurate information about assault prevention efforts, reporting sources, and military justice from Jodel, whatever. There was no single incident or on any social media site which prompted us to seek outside assistance, but rather the toxic tendencies that occur in anonymous online comments. Yeah. So Mover, this whole the government, man, they're gonna dig into that $1 billion bucket and spend a bunch of money on how to make Big Brother watch you. But I guess if you're at the Air Force Academy, I guess you did sign on the line. I don't know. What's your take on this, man, as far as managing social media for college kids? Basically,
what do they always say? The slippery slope, right? Because the very last line of that article said it's not intended to monitor, but just to educate. And then it becomes we're going to monitor, and then it becomes we're going to take action. So I'm here to tell you that they will take action
100%.
And so this is my complaint overall, right? You have core values, integrity, service before self, excellence in all we do. You try to instill that in people, and then you enforce them. That's it. That's the statement. So if you're not adhering to that, then okay, we're not meeting the standard. But I don't think we need to go into the thought police and try to, minority report our way through training people to never offend anybody, because guess what? The world is an offensive place and the world is dangerous. And sometimes it's actually a better training opportunity to have this stuff bubble up. And then they go, hey, you did this, you screwed up. We're going to handle this in person, in real world. Not, hey, I was looking at your social credit score report for this week and we found 10 times where you said Chuck Yeager. Stop saying Chuck Yeager
Charles
because
Yeager. Charles Yeager.
Charles Yeager. Sorry, but I'm saying, you know, I am against. Obviously, I'm against, you know, not making people feel included. Like I think, you know, you have to have a one fight, one team. You need that. You need cohesion. You need to have the a service that is in good order, and, you know, people aren't going out there and racist diatribes and stuff like that. What I don't think is we need to be monitoring, because that shows that you're not trusting these people. And I get it, they're academy cadets, but you are training future officers. And if you are telling them from day one that Big Brother is watching you, you better watch out, that's the wrong message. It's the wrong message that we don't trust our officers. And so what you do is you breed the same leaders that we have that can't make decisions, because it's all about their career. It's all about, well, what if I get in trouble? I can't say this thing. Because one of the things in that article that it pointed out was misinformation. Who decides what's misinformation? Who is the arbiter of truth?
It's straight up Big Brother. I mean, it's 1984.
And that's what I'm saying. We have a UCMJ. We have the ability to enforce the UCMJ. Why are we spending money to show people that we don't trust them when recruiting is at an all-time low and kids are smarter than ever about this stuff? You think a kid that is thinking about the military sees this and goes, yeah, I want to go to an organization that doesn't trust me?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are like, why would I ever go to military academy anyways? Right. I mean, you bring up a good point, man. It starts the lack of trust with leadership early.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't think it's a good thing. The other thing is, you know, anything that's, you know, you don't want to hurt people, but like, you're going to a military academy. I have a hard time. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm older, man. I pay no attention to social media stuff. Like, I have a hard time understanding why a 20-year-old, you know, men and women in the prime of their life would have a problem with with social media in the first place. But I just, you know, spending tax dollars on this kind of stuff, I just think there's a better use for it, and honestly a better way to handle it. Just like you said, there's you know, there's way, exactly, man. Right.
Well,
Policing's not the, I mean,
today's truth is tomorrow's misinformation. Today's misinformation is tomorrow's truth. Like, I mean,
yeah, who gets to choose?
Right. And you know, one thing said today, you know, when the tide turns, because if we're going off of stuff that is subjective, then it's subject to change. I mean, that's the whole subjective, right? So what says it's a thought crime tomorrow that wasn't today, and now I'm guilty of something I didn't even know about? You know, I didn't know that it wasn't a thing back then.
Well, how many times have you seen so and so is being asked about a comment they made 25 years ago?
Right.
And you're like,
well, and so one of the things they teach in the academy, the officer training school academy, not that one. You know, when they talk about the core values, right? The integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. How do you teach integrity when someone is looking all the time?
Right.
It's not integrity if you always know somebody's watching you.
Dude, it's like, I mean, I'm not the perfect parent, but people who helicopter parent their kids, you can tell. Right.
Well, I mean, and they find ways around. They'll BFM the rules, dude. They will 100% find ways around it and be even less trustworthy.
That's right. I mean, you give them rope to hang themselves with, and if they get out of line, then there's, like you said, there's UCMJ. There's ways, you know, there's ways to punish them. But you don't stick it. You know, not everyone's a hall monitor. You know, I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Teach people how to lead and be good people.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does not foster or promote building good leaders, and that's where it's supposed to start, right?
Yeah,
allegedly.
If you instill in people the tools that they need to be good leaders, and you trust them, which you should, none of this is necessary.
Yep. I agree.
That's it.
All right.
All right. One more.
One more.
While you get that. Well, you got one. Well, we got a couple more, but you've got one more. Dobik says, why do pilots call F-35 the Fat Amy? I think the article said that because she's a beefy gal. Jarhead says, Jodell sounds like Bayou Hillbilly.
Jodell.
And this one comes from Freedom. Hi, Gonky. It's the Viper Kid. Love your lives.
I love it. I love it. All right, dude. Here, you want me to knock it out real quick?
Well, I mean, I want you
to
go pay it the correct amount of attention.
The due that it needs, of course, dude. All right, man. Bucket list airplane right here. So we're gonna talk about the A4. The A4 is like near and dear to my heart. It's one airplane I'd love to fly, and I really think the Navy and the Air Force and the Marines could probably use another jet just like the A4. But here it is, the A4 Skyhawk, the Navy's mini bomber built to kill anything on land. So the crazy thing is this thing is designed in the 50s. And this was back when, like, if you remember, all the Century series was getting on. So all the fighters were getting bigger and heavier and more complicated. Ed Heinemann thought there was a better way. So today, nearly 7 decades after the A4 took its first flight in 1954. That's wild. Some A4s still remain in service with Argentine Air Force and Brazilian Naval Aviation. And also, who flies them here for Red Air Mover? Draken?
I believe Draken does, yes.
Draken. Yeah, they still fly them. So still in use. The versatile light bomber. So naval experts were skeptical of Ed Heinemann, chief engineer at Douglas. He said he could build a jet attack bomber weighing half of the 30,000 pounds specified. And he proved those critics wrong with a single seat subsonic carrier based attack aircraft. So it's crazy that how in 1955 this thing could do almost 700 miles an hour, and it carried a bomb load more than a B-17, which, you know, was literally just 10 years prior. So they call it a Heinemann's hot rod because it was a high performance jet. So the first Skyhawks were delivered to the Navy Attack Squadron VA-72 in October of 56, which I don't know what the name of VA-72 was, but they've been deactivated. Heavy bomb load, like I said, the airplane weighed 24,500 pounds, had 5 hard points, and could carry more than a B-17. Skyhawk could also deliver nuclear weapons using low altitude bombing system and a loft delivery technique. The Hornet also had a nuke capability, but we really didn't train to it. Did the F-16 mover?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't do it. It was specific squadrons that had that.
Yeah. They used Skyhawk extensively in the Vietnam campaign. So the wing design, unlike most carrier aircraft, Skyhawk was designed with a small wingspan. So they'd have to fold the wings on the carry, which is awesome. And then the Delta-shaped wing made a single unit design and formed an integral fuel unit. So wet tanks, I think, right? So they built 3,000 of them. And from 74 to 86, they used the A4 for the Blue Angels, which was eventually replaced by the F-18, probably A and then C. It says here the Navy retired its last Skyhawk in 2003, a full 51 years after the service issued a contract for the first prototype of the aircraft. I bet that was probably over in the test squadron, because they used the TA-4 in pilot training, I think, until the mid-90s when the Goshawk took over. The war in Vietnam, the A-4s logged more combat missions than any other naval aircraft, took part in notable strikes against bridges, power plants in North Vietnam, and also provided cast of troops on the ground in South Vietnam. The U.S. Navy A-4s participated in the first strikes in the Vietnam War in response to attacks on American destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin in August 1964. The Skyhawk was the first aircraft to drop ordnance on the enemy. The Skyhawk, flown by Lieutenant Everett Alvarez, was shot down during the raids, and after ejecting from his aircraft, he became the first naval aviator taken prisoner during the war. Wow, 64, that's crazy. So they lost a total of 195 Skyhawks during the Vietnam War. Most notable there would be James Stockdale. So he was the most senior in the Hanoi Hilton. During survival school, we studied him a lot and how they maintained, order and discipline there, even in the prison, which was kind of crazy. While flying close to air support, September 26, 1972, Marine Corps Captain James Walsh was hit by ground fire and forced to eject from the aircraft. He was the last Marine to be taken prisoner during the Vietnam War. Among those who made the ultimate sacrifice, Lieutenant Commander Michael Etchison, who, during a flight on April 2067, successfully neutralized 3 SAM sites in a strike over Haiphong, North Vietnam, and subsequently made a fiery carrier landing in his badly damaged A4. He was shot down 5 days later and received the Medal of Honor. Yeah, man. So, hold on, let me get back to you. Oh, hey, it's Lunacam.
Hi, Gonky. Sorry.
Yeah.
Luna's been, she showed up and said, hey.
It's bedtime, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So the whole idea of, instead of going the super complicated way, let's build a light, simple attack airplane that's tough, that's inexpensive to use. And then look, man, it lasted half a century. So I don't know. Can we use something like that today, Mover?
Yeah, dude.
Scooters forever.
Go back to our previous thing. Make it hover. Make it stealth. And it's already got about the speed that they want.
Don't need stealth.
I'm trying to get us more money, Gonky.
Oh, sorry.
For our contract.
Stealth.
We're just going to say it's stealth. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to get beyond the idea phase. No, but seriously, I mean, that airplane, you ever play the Jane's ATF series?
Yeah, a long time ago.
It was my favorite because it had no afterburner.
Yeah.
So you didn't need to know when to use the afterburner. It was just park the thing in mill. It could do anything. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I will say though, everybody that I've talked to, because there people will be like, hey, you want to go fly it? And they're like, well, how tall are you? If you are 6 feet or greater, it is a cramped cockpit.
Yeah, you're right. I've talked to a lot of guys who've flown it too. And Tom, one of my old friends, Tom Mills, he flew Tomcats. He said he had wide shoulders. He said when the canopy come down, you have to turn sideways a little bit. But he's the one that told me that's the first time I heard a fighter pilot say you strap that jet on, because it's a tight fit, like you said,
yeah,
so to speak. But man, highest roll rate in the Navy,
what is the T-38 roll rate in 720?
Yeah, I think the A4 is also.
It's the same.
They're both. I think.
Yeah, because they said that was 720.
Yeah, I think they're both. They're both 720. Which, I mean, but the A4, man, had leading edge. So it could maneuver a lot better, and it had.
Did you listen to the any of the interviews I did with like Shoes?
Yeah.
Or the A4 guys for Top Gun? Dude, they would talk about that jet, and sometimes the leading edge flaps would get stuck, or one would get stuck, or whatever. And one guy was talking about like one got stuck and it did this Hayaka maneuver, and suddenly he's offensive because it just flat plated the jet, and you're like, oh god, this worked.
Yeah. So my dad worked on them a little bit. He said they were held up by air loads, right? So like, I guess you could never overspeed them, right? Because once you got going fast enough, they just automatically retracted. And
unless they got stuck.
Unless they got stuck. But so I've read on occasion where, guys coming in to land, and as they're slowing down, low to the ground, one comes down, one doesn't, they roll and they can't, they depart. But I mean, that airplane had a lot of very innovative, simple systems that made it lightweight and inexpensive.
Yeah.
Which, like everything we're doing nowadays, is like going the opposite way. How complicated and crazy expensive can we make this?
Yeah.
You okay?
Luna just wandered off into the.
Yeah, she's tired of you, man.
I don't know what she went the wrong way though. I don't know. I don't trust her. Luna, come here. I don't know what she's doing in there. Stay out of there.
She doesn't trust you, man.
She's like, it's bedtime. Here she is. All right, Gonky, anything else to add on that one?
No, man. Bucket list. If anybody's got an A4, I'd love to fly.
Draken does.
I know. They don't want Gonky services, apparently. If I was willing to move, I think I could probably make it work. But yeah.
All right, Gonky. What else are we going to talk about tonight? We got Jarhead says VA-72 Blue Hawks.
There you go. Thanks, man.
Garrett says we can make another A4, but for $80 million a unit.
That's true. You're right. Thanks, Garrett.
Yeah. All right, Gonky. This is kind of a hybrid mental health minute. I said, all right. And Luna's looking at me over there. Do you have a New Year's resolution, Gonky?
No. To be better than last year.
Yeah, that's today's mental health minute. I think was, a lot of people, they do New Year's resolutions, which I think is great. If that's what gets you through the year and you're like, new year, new me, 100%. But for me, I think every day, every month, every year is an opportunity to get better. And you don't know what the year is going to bring, even after you've just overcome something. I talk about 2020 sucked for kind of everybody, right? Because of all the stuff we went through as a world, as on Earth with the pandemic and stuff. And then 2021 for me, it kind of sucked too. In fact, I was looking back. I made a post about how 2021 sucked and talked about kind of some of the struggles I had with the T-38. And it wasn't just the T-38. It was, we were trying to fund Fights On. We struggled to get that going. We were trying to get all this stuff going right after the pandemic, and it just didn't work out. And that was kind of a big toll on me personally that kind of led to some of the other stuff, that in the T-38 and the anxiety from just in general, just all the stuff happening. And then one of the dogs had cancer, and stuff was rough. And I was like, okay, we get through 2021, and then 2022 happens, and boy, we know that one. 2022 kind of sucked, but there were moments in between all that where stuff was really good. And same thing with 2023. I just did a thing, kind of a debrief video on how 2023 was a challenging year, but it made me a better person. And what I've learned in that time span is it's not about the resolution. It's about what you learn from what happened and how you approach the challenges and how you react to things not going necessarily your way. And for me, that was tough. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when, you get to these absolutes where you're like, man, I can't imagine a world without my dogs. Well, guess what? I'm imagining a world without my dogs, or I can't imagine a world without X. And life throws these things at you and they become lessons. And so for me, as a New Year's resolution, it's not, well, this year's going to be different. It's, I'm going to do my best to continue to learn from what's happening, accept the things that I can't control with some level of grace, even though it's sometimes difficult, and make myself a better human throughout it all until I can't anymore. It's a constant improvement process. And by can't anymore, it means, till you take your last breath, you're always going to be trying to improve. So that's it's kind of a bait and switch on that, but I don't know, Gonky, what do you think?
Well, it's not, what's the old saying? It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it that matters. Right. So, yeah, man, I mean, what you said is spot on. I used to do, New Year's. I didn't do New Year's resolutions. I would set goals for the year. And I haven't done that in a couple of years. Because it's been kind of a weird couple of years. I think we can all agree on that. There was things that happened that you mentioned that completely sideline, because you can have, a plan all doped out, and then, the world, government, whatever, throw some weird stuff at you that you can never plan for. Right. So, for me, man, I've got really young kids. So my goals and plans for the new year are really kind of more family centric mostly. But yeah, I generally don't do New Year's resolutions. I take more of the fighter pilot approach of every day. I'm kind of deep, it's like every flight, right? You debrief, find out what you didn't do so well, then hopefully the next time you do it better. That's kind of like what I do every day, right? It's like, man, today I kind of wasted a bunch of time. Tomorrow that's not going to happen, whatever. But and then by the end of the year, you've had a good year. But I think New Year's resolutions are fantastic, and for some people it works really well. And if it's what it takes to get your mindset right, and for you to whether it's lose weight, start a business, friendships, whatever. more power to you, man. It's because it's all about winning the mind game, whatever it takes.
Yeah, January is not the time. Today's
Yeah.
the time. I mean, now
Yeah,
today
exactly.
is January, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if you've got a goal, don't wait till you don't need a cliche to help you achieve your goal. You can do a little bit at a time. And the thing is, it's like being a fighter pilot, specific, measurable, achievable. These goals that are specific, you know, what am I going to do? Something a little bit by bit that I can do today. You know, it's not, I want to run a marathon. Well, I'm not going to start out running 26 miles, right? If I can't run at all, you know, I'm going to run a half mile, then I'm going to run a mile. Then, you know, it's a process. So the time to start is yesterday. And if you can't do it then do it today. You know, I mean, that's it. But
Yeah,
if it helps you
100%.
get through it, do it. I just, what I have learned though, you know, because it's funny, one of the things about doing this on YouTube is you go back and you look at what you said, and you're kind of looking at your own words about, whoa, next year will be great, and then you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, it was not
Yeah.
great.
It was horrible.
It was worse.
Yeah.
It was way worse. So now I kind of look at it like, okay, look, probably some bad stuff's going to happen, but I'm going to roll with the punches. My dad, he had a pen from his Army days, and it just said, come what may.
Come with what?
Come what may.
Oh,
That was his unit's little motto, was come what may. And I always ask him, you know, what does that mean? And he's like, well, we take things day by day. You know, we'll deal with whatever comes up, whatever happens, we're going to deal with it.
yeah.
So, and I actually used that in one of my books. I was, you know, I turned it into Latin. Come what may, I shall be victorious. And that's what it is. You know, it's doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to deal with it and roll with the punches. So may not work out, but I'm still going to deal with it.
Yeah. We'll see how 2024 rolls out.
Yeah. Hey,
Got
it's already
all the
better.
men.
I'm already better today than I was yesterday, because yesterday I couldn't get out of bed. So
Yeah.
yesterday was terrible.
And I always
All
try
right.
to think of things like, you know, what's the, you know, the what you look like at the end of the year and what the world looks like at the end of the year can be different. So
Yeah. I mean, in general, you should always compare yourself to yourself, not to everybody else. We talked about that before. Comparison's a thief of joy. Josie, treat for Luna. Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you.
It's actually going to be a treat for Oliver.
He needs it. He's old, dude.
On Gonky's channel. Dude, one more thing. This week's DCS dogfights.
This was a barn burner,
assuming Gonky gets it right this time.
It's already uploaded, bro.
Well, did you go and add that fourth set?
No, it's best out of 3. No. You know what? I'll put it in as the outtakes.
You gotta go put that. It's not an outtake.
It's not best out of 4. How could that means we're tied?
No. So anyway, in this week's edition, we did Gonky in the P-51 after some practice, I might add, and me in the Hornet.
Yeah. Old Mover was feeling pretty good when he was in the P-51 fighting me in the Hornet, but then when we switched,
Gonky in the face shots.
No, dude, come on.
Gonky. I don't think throughout that entire time you might have like one valid track.
I don't think I had any tracks because I couldn't get the feel right to actually either spraying bullets all around you.
Go. Yeah. Oh boy. I think there was 1, maybe 2 times where you're in plane, in range, and in lead. Everything else is just spraying bullets and hoping it works.
I go for the quick kill, man. I don't want to take the time to actually arrive in the control zone. I see the shot, I take it.
I don't know how you know, whatever works for you, man.
It worked with the P-51.
It's pretty it's pretty entertaining, if nothing else. You actually did you count the ground kill?
Of course, man.
Is it one of your kills?
Yeah.
Gonky AAA.
Honestly, the P-51 DCS, that's my favorite. So far, that's my favorite airplane to fly It's because you can't just firewall it. Like you actually have to, use your brain to fly it. Oh, we
Hawkeye
did
says
that.
you should do P-51 versus FW-190. No, we did BF-109.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we did the BF-109. And somebody watched my video and they're like, Mover, you weren't even full power. If you'd had full power, it would have been even easier. And I'm like,
on what, the 109?
On the P-51. No, I had because I was afraid of overspeeding the RPM.
Same.
So I would dial back the RPM and keep the manifold pressure high because I didn't want to, and have it overheating.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I was like, hey, what do I set this thing at? You were like 2750 or whatever, and that's it was fun. The P-51 that's my favorite to fly so far.
Yeah, wait till the F4 comes out.
Yeah, I might have a new favorite.
Or the Su-30, dude, when we get to try that.
Yeah.
Janitor's back says, ever see the video of the Blues land all 6 A4s at the same time? Is that the one where the guy in the back bounces? Have you seen that one?
Wasn't that part of their every
they just always
every show? Right. I mean, it's pretty impressive. You can land 6 on a runway at the same time. Yeah. They're small airplanes, so
I've failed to see the tactical necessity of such things.
Well, it's just, dude, it's for recruiting. Uber.
We don't care about those things anymore. All right, Gonky. I believe that's all for today.
Cool. Well, happy New Year, everybody. Glad everybody.
Happy 2024.
For those of you that joined us, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all my members and Gonky's viewers, and we'll see you on the next one.
All righty, we'll see you guys. Have a good night.
See ya.